So recently it feels like all I've been doing is talking about speed duels and a TCG, and that's because to me Duel Links hasn't really had too much going for it in the way of personal enjoyment, I guess. There's not been too much content coming out that's made me feel like, oh hey, I must record a video today on Duel Links. We've had the Kybra campaign today that has the Duel Links community a little bit split as to whether we should have got an obelisk, whether we should have got an obelisk. And some people in the community are acting a bit entitled, I think, and that's not the way to look at it. It's a free gift. Like, they're not going to give us such an iconic card for such a weak event. And we had today a new skill, thanks to Konami again as always, a new skill revealed for Ishizu for the Speed Duel format. And I've had a lot of fun talking about the Speed Duel format and these skills because they're in a league of their own compared to Duel Links, and I think this format, as someone that enjoys the TCG and Duel Links kind of equally in 50-50, this is the format for me. It's the format that I can come into and play and have a very limited card pool and have equally as much of a fun time and of a competition and as an advantage as the next guy, especially early on when the products are going to be star decks only and then later on going to be getting more sets. Being able to start from the same point as everyone else in a brand new format, in a format that is very familiar but also very different because the skill is going to make things completely different, is really enticing. These new skills for Ishizu, she only has one today. It's the same with Mai. Mai only got one skill, Pegasus got two, but I think that was because Pegasus were both very similar to his Duel Link skills. Ishizu's is very different. And of course the card back is the same as always, just a Duel Link surrender of Ishizu. Flip this card over when you activate the skill, so no real hard requirement when you can activate the skill. The skill is called Millennium Eye, and it's actually really interesting. So at the start of the opponent's turn before they draw, you may look at the top 3 cards of their deck and rearrange them in any order. This skill is a once per duel hard skill, so it's not bad. It's pretty good. Like, all things considered, if we took the Pegasus skill out of the equation, this would be a really good skill because A, it's giving you information about your opponent's deck, their 3 upcoming cards, and letting you choose which one you have to deal with next. So it can be used in a variety of ways. So let's say your opponent is playing, let's say they're playing Blue Eyes. Let's just go for very early on in Duel Links' life cycle. Let's go for Kyberman's on the field. For some reason you couldn't destroy it in your last turn, and they're waiting on that Blue Eyes draw. The next turn could be a Blue Eyes, that could be the end of the game for you. If you play this skill and you see the 3 cards, it's like a Blue Eyes, like a Karibo, and some random spell, you could choose to add the random spell first and then the Karibo and the Blue Eyes to make it so your opponent has to work for those extra turns and keep them also alive for those extra turns for them to get out their Blue Eyes. And this just gives you a whole host of information that you can use to further, plan out your strategies against your opponent, because you know what they're going to be drawing next. So they can't bluff you with a face down trap. They can't do anything like that. They can't fake you out. So you know that card, and that's any skill, any card that gives you knowledge of your opponent's cards and that kind of plays is a very, very good thing, especially if their deck is focused around a certain theme. It's like Destiny Heroes. If they were playing against Destiny Heroes and they needed Mask Change very quickly, you can make it so that they can't draw into Mask Change as easily. So a really, really nice skill in a bubble. And I say in a bubble because Konami pretty much power crept the skill already with the Mind Scan skill from Pegasus, the Millennium Eye skill. So the Duel Links version of that skill lets you look at your opponent's starting hand and then decide if they should keep it or shuffle it into their deck and draw a noose hand. And there's no real advantage to your opponent there. Like, if the skill gave your opponent an extra card, that might be kind of fair, but right away it's basically saying, hey, Pegasus was this big anime villain, this skill is going to be broken as hell, and there's no real counter to it, there's no real downside, which is what Duel Links has done. Duel Links has actually had skills that give your opponent back a certain benefit if you're giving you the skill user such a big advantage. And I think that Pegasus' skill is so powerful that it's going to be one of those skills that people just gravitate to immediately, even though the whole prospect of the Speed Duel format is to kind of play as your favourite character or build a deck based around a certain skill. That skill, and this skill as well, are skills you could just throw into any deck and not really have a care in the world as to what your deck strategy is, because they both give yourself information. Now, the one area I can see Millennium Necklace being an advantage over this Mind Scan, or this Millennium Eye skill that Pegasus has, is if you're playing something that relies on your opponent's top card of the deck. In Konami's own article, they actually state Spiral Drone, which I believe they're referencing Spiral Gear Drone. They just can't spell their own card names right. Which, if you haven't played the TCG, was a very powerful meta deck that basically this card let you look at the top cards of your opponent's deck and rearrange them in any order, and then the other cards in your arsenal, in your hand, and on your field, be able to actually manipulate those cards, and you get certain bonuses based off the top card of your opponent's deck. In Duel Links, we've had 1 or 2 cards actually do things like that. We've had, I believe it was Conscription or something, it was a trap card that let you reveal the top card of your opponent's deck. If it was a normal monster that could be summoned, then you would actually be able to summon it to your side of the field for free, which they might bring to Speed Duels very early. It's one of those very early on cards that saw quite a bit of play just teched in because most people were just running normal monsters with a little bit of back row. So if Duel Links, or if the Speed Duel, sorry, is going to be very similar to how Duel Links was very early on, then this skill to me makes sense in that regard, being able to set up that whole strategy and being able to take advantage of your opponent's deck with a card like that is going to be an excellent way to combo with this card. Additionally, your opponent doesn't get to see any of the cards that are upcoming, so it's not like in some card effects where it's like your opponent reveals the top 3 cards of their deck, choose one and then add it to the top of their deck, the other 2 go into the deck in any order or whatever. You just get to look at the top 3 cards and put them in any order. Your opponent doesn't get that knowledge that you do, so you immediately get the knowledge of A, their next card is going to be not good for them, or not as good for them, better for you to deal with, and 2, they're not going to get to know the cards that they're going to see, but you do, so you have up to 3 turns worth of knowledge against your opponent, unless they do something to search out from the deck and to actually skewer that knowledge, then you're in a very good position against your opponent. Now, this skill could be made redundant based on the other skills we're getting, because we haven't seen skills for Joey, Kaiba, Yugi, or that's it. Joey, Kaiba, or Yugi. I think that's the only 3 left we haven't seen any skills for. Of course, you have 2 other skills remaining for Ishizu and Mai that could both be very good and very powerful, but this skill to me seems like a pretty good skill, and right now it's like Pegasus' skill is up here, this one's kind of here, and then Mai's skill that we've had, the Harpy one, is low bottom because that one relies on a certain deck to be played, and a deck that probably doesn't have a lot of consistency in its initial TCG Speed Duel implementation. Now, we do know that Konami is planning to actually support this product beyond just this product launch, and they've said this multiple times, but in an ICV2 article today, I think it was, they'll be able to interview Konami rep at Comic-Con like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, so I don't know why it only just took till now to come out. Maybe they were kind of under embargo until these announcements were made, but they're going to be taking the Star Pack formula from the TCG, which was a 3-card set based on the anime, and bringing it to the Speed Duel. So it's going to be like Duel Links. Opening a 3-card pack is standard for Duel Links, so it's going to feel very familiar to users, and it's going to be very cheap. If they keep the same price of 99 cents or 99p per pack, then that's going to be a very easy way for players to get cards, a very cheap way, and just a new format that kids and for Duel Links fans and people that just want a nice, slower, simpler format of Yu-Gi-Oh to play in can get involved with, and all have, you know, a very similar experience and a very fair card pool and skill pool to actually dive into and not feel too overwhelmed from the offset. Obviously, we are getting some more decks as well. They've confirmed that later in the year we're going to be getting some more star decks, so if they do a similar approach, maybe we'll be able to see the remainder of the Duel Monsters cast, as well as some GX casts, like if Yami Marek, Bandit Keith, and the Parrot Brothers get skills or get decks, that'd be really cool. And then the other ones would be maybe Bones, Rex, and Weevil, or Rex, Weevil, and Mako, actually. That'd be a nice little deck to do, so you have like the rivals and the less rivals, but also rivals. I don't know. You just have some more range of Duel Monster characters to go through before you go to GX. I think they might wait and see if the Duel Monster stuff does well, and then go into the GX stuff, and hopefully this is what I'm thinking. Hopefully they don't just sit there and go, the first set is Ultimate Rising. Hopefully they take some initiative and make the format their own. Have unique cards from all 5 series of Yu-Gi-Oh show up in this initial booster set, and actually be different from Duel Links. So you have 3 different formats. You have the TCG format, the current Master Rule 4. You have Duel Links' Speed Duels, which is very unique to itself and the metagame of that environment, and you know all the skills we have in that and all the cards. And then you have this Speed Duel format for the TCG, which again has its own card pool and actually has its own unique ways to play based on the decks they want to give us very early on. So hopefully they don't make some of the same mistakes Duel Links did, but hopefully they take and learn from them and actually give us some more flexibility, more variety in the decks and cards, and it won't just be a repeat of the TCG back from Legend of Blue Eyes, and won't be a repeat of Duel Links from Ultimate Rising. That'd be the best of both worlds. But let me know your thoughts on Ishizu's new skill, Millennium Necklace. Let me know what you think the other character skills could be. Of course, we have a ton more skills left to be revealed, as well as the card lists for these sets. They're coming out in January, so quite a while to wait, but glad we're getting some more news now. Duel Links videos will be coming back very soon. I just need to find a deck that I want to record with and play with, and hopefully that'll be tomorrow. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. See you then.